What's up, guys? My name is Emerson, your favorite manic and melanated photographer.
Hey, this is Alex, or you can call me Peach, your local content creator and fruit enthusiast.
And welcome to the Phot-Bros podcast.
Your one-stop shop for all things photography, videography, and content creation.
Yo. Welcome back to the Phot-Bros podcast. We are finally back with episode 18.
18, guys. And if you don't know what that is, it's 1 and an 8. So, Emerson, who do we have here today?
We have the one and only Dewey with us.
Hi,
what's going on, man?
Me. Yeah.
Dewey, guys.
I don't know any of you guys.
Yeah, I don't know you.
I don't know you either, bro.
But I heard
good Dewey. Like, who is that?
But I heard good things about you.
Yeah, that's good. That's
See, not only does this guy have a cool surname, he is really good at what he does.
I gotta tell a story about that. It's
really?
actually not my real name.
What?
My real name is Dewey. It's exactly the same, just spelled differey.
Oh,
I was lied to.
And I no, you weren't. It sounds exactly the same.
How do you spell it?
Deweytran.
What?
Oh,
Right.
What?
Yeah, that's the ethnic spelling. I made this choice.
okay.
It's exactly the same thing. It's like, it was the funniest thing when I made the transition. It's like, all right, it's not Deweytron anymore. It's Deweytron. And just...
That's still a cool name.
It's a brand. Yeah, it's branding right there.
Yeah, right.
That's
Yeah, no,
perfect.
definitely a branding
Yeah,
choice.
Dewey-
Because I searched the other name and it was like a ton of people with like, all right, I got to cut through the crowd here.
Yeah, because like if people ask, who is this guy? He's like, I'm Deweytron. Like the Android.
Electric noise.
Yeah.
But Deweytron, guys, and he's very good at what he does. And yeah, what do you do, Dewey?
I do a lot of things. I might even kill someone for you.
I did not. I was expecting a different answer.
The ninja.
It went differently in my head.
My man is over here taking shots too.
Yeah, and not only shots at us, but literal shots, guys. And don't drink and drive, but sometimes if you need a little drink, just you take it.
A little drinky drink.
I don't know. I mean, I know I'm the stereotype, but it's not like that lightweight, right?
I don't think so.
I'll be okay.
I've been sober for 6 years. I don't know anything about that anymore.
Well, anyway, I love films. I watch lots of films growing up, like all of us, and it just carried me away to a place I can't imagine. It's just like amazing. I wanted to be part of that world somehow.
That sounds amazing. Same here with different films. I mean, one could say that you watch something, you hear something, it takes you away to a very special place.
Because life is kind of boring. You have to really have the right perspective to see things in a way that's going to make it exciting. Because growing up, maybe before the internet, you didn't have anything. You just had like yourself and like your backyard and bugs and, toys, whatever you get, and then you can imagine with that, put it together into stories, make it interesting for yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
But, photography, it sounds like that's the topic of this group, right? Photography, photography,
videography, content creation.
Okay.
Your one-stop shop, as producer Shane would say.
Yes. Producer Shane.
All right, let's
to,
hit me with
Producer
these
Shane.
questions.
Let's hit it, guys. All right, we're going to start with the fundamentals right here. What do you define as good videography?
Well, if I see something, I'll see what their influences are. And like, you have to be someone who's well-versed in watching a lot of films, having a vocabulary of visual, hierarchy and, drawing your attention to certain things, depending on the context. You have to have that type of language. And I think that's something that has rules, but then also people who can challenge the rules if they can show that they mastered them.
I love good challenge. I do love it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of, filmmakers nowadays, whether they're professional or amateurs, they always like idea comes up out of a challenge. Yeah, that's what I always see. At least that's where it happens for me.
Yeah, definitely limitations make you more creative. If you had everything, it's just sort of like you have choice anxiety of how you're going to step forward and start making things.
And Sorry.
Oh, well, no. Well, I just making noises.
Oh, true. Sorry. Shout out to noises. Yeah, especially onomatopoeias. Because, snap, crackle, pop, guys. What? 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 But no, for real, because we talked about this before, cinematography, lighting, composition, all that plays a key role in pretty much everything you do in creative wise, whether it's making it a still image or making a video. And now I for one haven't mastered videography entirely, but I'm getting there. Now you, Emerson, you mastered it to a certain degree.
I have not mastered it at all.
Well, I mean, to a certain degree.
I'm like a complete amateur.
Are you talking about video?
Yeah.
Guys? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah, I have not.
In regards to cinematography,
I've mastered anything. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still like watching a lot of different films and getting a feel for it now. Like I'm looking up, like whenever I watch any movie, I look up who's the director of photography, and I look at their different works and start to see like how they compose everything, their color grading, and the way they tell a story.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
See, I think that's the best way to learn because, like, a lot of people are like looking at other instructors who are telling you how to do it. But, just simply watching the end product of someone who's a master and then dissecting it from there, I think is the best way to go. People are like, where do I learn? I'm like, just watch movies.
Yeah, dissecting, breaking it down, man.
YouTube University. That's how I learned how to do photography.
Yeah, whenever you start making film, you start the story and then you got to finish the story.
Shout outs to Cody Rhodes.
Yes, Cody Rhodes. But yeah, no, seriously, it's always great to tell stories. Yeah. For me, what I'm starting with is the whole. I mentioned this before. I'm actually doing little B-rolls at first to kind of work on the whole color grading, the transition. Color grading is my favorite part, but the transition is really good too. But I'm starting with that very minimalism, and then from there I'm gonna build it up.
All right, Dewey. So many of our listeners are photographers. Some dabble in video. We know you have a bit of background in photo. So what fundamental photography skills are most transferable to videography?
Having a good understanding of composition, I think is probably the most important thing because you might not always have to keep communicating with the subject. You're just catching moments and things. Yeah. But then, the second thing is like communication and getting the person to move where you need them to do whatever. And, I think that gets overlooked a lot because you get caught up in just looking at just gear porn all the time. It's just, it can get really involved and you forget about oh yeah, that's right. I'm supposed to shoot stuff with this,
Yeah, shout out to gear porn.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been victim to simping gear, the more expensive, the better. Right. But that's not always the case.
Not always the case.
Because the camera is just a tool.
Yes.
You don't ask a good writer what kind of pen he uses. I need to get that pen. That pen's going to make me a better writer. It's
yes.
So what are you going to write about? What are you going to look at? How are you going to look at it? What do you want people to look at? So those are more important questions about the approach of it rather than it being about what equipment do you have? And, again, limitations make you more creative.
Man, that is, I know I got a lot of work to do. Man, I have a long road.
It's just doing things. When I was younger, my dad just gave me a camera and I just was excited because I just had a camera and it had a servo zoom. So it covered a really wide range. Oh. And I would just put it on the floor and just film my toys and do stop motion. Oh, and that was the first thing I did.
Dude, that's before. The same thing I did. But
that's cool.
But what I did, I actually used one of those, the really poor quality flip phones with their own poor quality cameras.
Yeah, but that's still something. See,
yeah, I did
just doing it.
Yeah, but I pulled the whole story out of my ass.
I literally had things pulling things out of their own asses, pooping and eating things and stuff.
Oh my god!
I mean, it was a dog. I was just I have a little piece of clay. What are we gonna do? Oh, it goes in the mouth and comes out the other end.
Oh my god!
Shout out to the digestive system. Yeah, but here's the thing. He's right, okay, but he was out of line, but he's right, okay, but here's the thing, it's got to
be more than just filming things. I mean, you gotta have weird, absurd fun with it.
I know. The thing is, when I made my stories, what tends to happen is there's a tragic hero, and then there's a villain, and then there's a tragic downfall within that story, and then somehow the hero survives. And I usually give it a good ending, and then it's also a tragic ending if necessary. That's usually the whole plot I usually follow.
And it just happens every time, or does it leave in like a cliffhanger for sequels? Because
yeah, I did, only because I wanted to continue it after dinner time.
Right.
And, but eventually I forgot. So it's still a cliffhanger to this day.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is like maybe, I don't know, 13 years ago, maybe more. But
Awesome.
But yeah.
So I know we were talking about like gear porn and everything like that. That leads me into my next question. What's the one piece of equipment a beginner videographer should invest in that will make the biggest difference in their work?
That's a subjective question because I have a story for this.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so I entered a competition and it was with AT&T and they partnered up with Warner Brothers Studios.
Oh.
So we got selected to go to Warner Brothers Studio in LA and like be on the studio lot that looks like freaking Looney Tunes, but in real life. It was crazy to see it in real life. And I was there. They gave us a lot to shoot on, and it's a little like 48-hour film festival, but you get a little bit more time. But the biggest thing is that we had two teams. One team had standard cinema cameras, like big giant, ARRIs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the other team, cell phones. Remember, AT&T is partnering with Warner Brothers Studios.
Wow.
So I was on the cell phone team. And so we're proving a point here that you shouldn't be limited by what kind of tools you have. We live in a time now where the technology is going to get more and more advanced, but at the same time, less and less impressive looking because it's just a monitor. You're looking at a monitor with every lens focal length on there. Therefore, if you're, when we shot our film, we did really well. And like people couldn't tell that it was shot on cell phone. There are processes to make it look like legit, like a nice camera. And so people watched it. They had no idea it was a good camera. It was just a cell phone. I mean,
wow.
And so, but the only thing was like, we made something that had a very edgy subject, and we ended up like not even making the top 10. But after that competition was over, we got to enter into competitions, festivals all over the world. And we were like getting the top prizes for like every category every single time. So it's just like the subject matter was really edgy. I'll tell you that. I don't want to say too much more. You'd have to see it. But
that's incredible.
But therefore, this whole competition was to prove a point that you can't be held back what kind of gear you have. You have to at least have the vision first. That's the thing that's more important than what kind of gear you have. Like my example about the pen and the writer, it's like people can still shoot with just the cell phone. You just have to have an understanding of how you want to look at it, what you want to look at. And there are great examples out there of movies like Tangerine that have been made that were just on cell phones. iPhone 7, we shot on iPhone 7. It wasn't even like the latest model. Wow. And because we had software to hack it, we can like use the sensor and do all these different things like aperture, shutter speed, shutter angle, all these different things with just a cell phone. And so now you're not limited by, I need to have the nice camera. I need to have all these things. With the cell phone, we were shooting so quickly. We didn't have to break down any lights. We didn't have to do anything. We were just moving super quickly. I was on rollerblades, so I was like whizzing around and just getting like really nice shots very quickly. Take another one, just do another take.
Wow.
Just keep going. And like, it was like no time at all setting up anything. There's no tracks, no lights, no stands, no nothing. So it was very liberating to do. And we were able to tell a really good story.
Wow, that's incredible.
This was just to repeat. That was a competition, or
yes, it was a competition.
How did you come by the competition?
I think in the beginning you just submit a script, and if they like your script, you get selected. And we flew over there, and there were like maybe like 20 other teams or so.
How long was your script?
Maybe about 4 pages.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like a short story?
Yeah, a short story.
Wow.
And the story was like adapted from like a dark web story. And so it was like a real thing that happened, but we were interpreting it. So it gives it that much extra edge to that story.
That's pretty cool. Like as dark as the dark web is, it's pretty fascinating to just think about it, because there's a lot of conspiracy theories came out of the dark web.
I low-key want to go on it, but I'm scared.
Yeah,
I
well,
see
you
some
should
stuff
be
that I
because
don't.
Yeah,
it's
don't.
not safe.
want to see.
I don't
not
recommend
safe.
it.
Yeah.
But what you can do is there are people who are like making their channels dedicated to like digging into the dark web.
That's what
So
I've
you
been
can watch
watching.
them.
I've been watching those YouTube
there you
videos.
go.
Yeah.
But you know, these stories, because they're real, they have like a logic to them that just makes it that much scarier, you know, instead of something just completely fabricated.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting too because like they made movies about it too, like the movie Host that was made during the pandemic, really great horror film. Unfriended, like they made two of them.
There's one called Megan is Missing.
I
don't recommend watching that.
I already did.
Yeah, I still have nightmares.
You watched the whole thing?
I watched it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
that
I
ending,
do.
the pictures.
Man, I gotta watch
The
that.
last 20 to 25 minutes.
25 minutes was traumatizing. Yes.
Yeah, I should have turned it off.
I should have turned it off, but it was.
my
It sounds
friend,
like it's like fear porn, like, you know, like Saw, you know, where you're just like tortured endlessly.
It was yeah.
Without giving anything away, don't tell me.
let me just
I
say
haven't seen it yet.
it's similar to Saw, but in a way where it's more realistic.
Yeah,
it can
was a little
realistically
too
happen.
real. It was a bit
okay.
much. I was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, this is something we'll talk about later. But there are a lot of horror films you shouldn't watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll cover it in an episode. You never know.
So now you've probably heard the phrase cinematic lighting. Is it just a buzzword for good lighting, or is it describing a specific style? Producer Shane talks about shadow side lighting and motivated lighting a lot. So could you touch on those as well?
Okay. Because I've fallen into sort of the new wave style of making films.
Okay.
Lighting is important. I mean, you can set up things to make it more dynamic and make it read better on, like, you know, the backing of your sensor or whatever. You know, the more light, the better, the sharper it can be. That's fine. But, you know, sometimes the thing that really fascinates me are the people who actually don't even use lights at all. They just shoot it incidentally. And so the technology needs to have like better high dynamic range. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, sometimes just the natural setting is like the best type of lighting. I mean, there are some directors who actually, like, say that the lighting right now, we have light coming in through a door, daylight, and we have some come from this chandelier over here. And what they would do is I would just add another light that's like that and just intensify it even more with that color temperature, and then replace these bulbs with like higher wattage bulbs, and it's like the same exact lighting, and then now they can like close up their aperture and get everything nice and sharp. That's actually the magic of like bigger filmmaking, is that you're just emulating what's already there.
Yeah.
True. Here's the interesting thing though. I was actually watching videos recently about I forgot the name of the guy, but he posts a lot of like tutorials about like how to do different the different scenes, you know. And what he includes is like different artificial lighting. Like my favorite thing that he does is that I assume you heard of the Emerson 150C, 150 and 2.
Oh yeah.
So I have the 150C, and then what he did, he actually grabbed a few of those, and it was dark outside. So in order to film what he wanted to, he actually went outside on his balcony, and then
created moonlight or something.
Yeah, like he basically changed the light to blue light, not super blue, but like he put it outside. He put the dome on, and then pretty much just came through there, and then he used, I think, 2 other lights in here to kind of create a very like kind of red blue effect.
Okay, like the opposites and
yeah. So he used like so stuff like that. That kind of, you know, because what I always did, I limited myself to just putting the lights inside. I never thought of actually putting it outside where you can actually create something. And then something like that kind of really interested me when it comes to artificial lighting, changing the mood, like something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, no, I was, you know, the way I'm describing it is a very like, you know, more, I guess, contemporary setup, so that you're not focused on the lighting so much after you're set up. You just go. But like, yeah, I mean, like very cinematic lighting sometimes could be like very stylized, you know, but you set it up to make it look natural. But, you know, ideally the way I like to work is just like you get it set up and then you just go. You're not really focused on like having to reset lights and things, because you can get the actor out of their own head. Like, I mean, take them out of the scene if they have to stop for too long, and just stay fresh, go to the next angle, just shoot, keep shooting.
Yep. All right. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see beginners making when it comes to video storytelling?
Some of the biggest mistakes, I just feel like, you know, not having enough understanding of the language of film. You know, you have to also watch film. You can't just be someone who's just, oh, look at this cool gear. Oh, look, I can take a picture. You know, you have to look at other people who understand that and how they effectively put together a scene, you know, to get things to feel a certain way, or where they're placing things, the timing of even the editing. To me, the magic happens in the editing room, but still, you know, you have to work with certain footage, but you know, in order to make any sort of film, you have to really be in love with film and like know the entire process and just know what you want.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I love film.
Yeah, I'm really getting into like watching just everything. I'm on Google saying like beginner filmmakers, what are some films you should watch if you're wanting to get into filmmaking?
I've been actually paying attention to a lot of different, you know, like directors, and
I've been really into like indie films a lot. There's some good ones that,
you know what my favorites are, like very coming of age. Like one of my, like some of my favorite films include in the coming of age genre, like the Peanut Butter Falcon, the Kings of Summer.
Kings of Summer's a good one.
Mid 90s.
What about Kids?
What do you mean by that?
Kids was in the is a coming of age movie as well.
I never heard of it.
You know, I haven't seen that either. I have it on my shelf. Like
it's about the spread of STDs and like teenagers. It's very dark. It's really jacked up, but it's a great film.
I gotta find that one. But Coda, that's another one. You know, I think it's coming of age, but still, like the very feel of it really gets to me. Yeah,
Tarantino films as well.
Well, that's
Tarantino. The way his films are inspirational sometimes. Just the way. The like crazy the camera angles, it's always it's like chaotic but also artistic in a way.
Yeah, he's considered an auteur where you're having control of every step, a writer director. You know, you're coming up with the content of what's being said and then how you're cutting it. I mean, yeah, his taste is pretty interesting. Of course, he's really there's a lot of controversy attached to him, but like
there really is.
But still, I don't know. Maybe that's the type of edge. You know, he's living something, and it's like exciting. Yeah, he's showing it to us through films.
He's on. He's on. He's on something.
Pulp Fiction is still one of my favorites.
You know, for me, is actually the Grindhouse combination. The Planet, was it Planet Terror and what was the other one?
Death Proof.
Yeah, Death Proof.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. But
those guys.
Yeah, from him and what's his name?
Rodriguez.
Yeah.
No, I have something. Yeah, I mean, those guys were just like, you know, buddies, and I think there was like a bet, you know, like they were just like, just make it for $1 or something. You know, like, I'll make it if you pay me $1.
Funny. Yeah, because this is why I also love From Dusk Till Dawn. Like people might think it's a pretty shitty film sometimes, but I honestly like it. You know, it was just a concept that seemed it seemed one direction, and then all of a sudden it goes another direction.
You can really see like Tarantino's writing starting to like bloom through there. And then like, have you guys seen what's it called? Something Romance.
By who?
It has Christian Slater in it, but it was written by Tarantino too.
Something Romance.
True Romance.
Is that No, never mind. That's not that one.
Okay, it's cool. Anyway, I mean, I used to work at a video store, so I know a lot about like obscure films from like the 90s and stuff. So.
Shout out to Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Oh man, Blockbuster.
But the story with that movie, True Romance, is that he wrote that film, and I think he directed it also, but it burned up in a fire, the entire reel, because at that time the reels were like just very flammable.
Yeah.
And the entire thing got destroyed. So then the whole thing got remade again by Tony Scott, the guy that made Top Gun. And so it's the same script. It's starring Christian Slater and I think like something Arquette. I can't remember her first name.
David?
No, not David.
Patricia?
Patricia Arquette, yeah. But good film. You'll really see like that Tarantino coming through when you see the early works of like
very true
his films.
So Dewey,
yes.
Let's talk about the process, man. Okay, there's always like art has a process. There's always a process to it. In our field, it's a big process. Okay, so with your creative process, when you approach, like, how do you approach when it comes to a new film project?
My personal project, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just used ChatGPT. Just kidding.
We'll leave it right there.
Yeah, that's it. That was one. No, I come up with the concept, and like originally for one project I did, I wrote out the whole script and put together you kind of want to do it in a non-linear way too, with the 3 acts, and then, put pieces in the right places to pace it out right. And then once you see that as a whole, then you can start to go through and meticulously write each chapter out. The chapters outline, you see sometimes in like a DVD sleeve, they'll show you there's 13 chapters, and this, that's a way to digest, the sequences of events that need to happen for all 3 acts to play out.
Interesting.
And then from there, I did have a script. Once I casted people, I kind of started realizing that okay, it doesn't quite. It sounds like you're me talking. I want it to be more you. So can we just figure out a way to make it more natural so that it doesn't feel like people remembering a script? Yeah. So that's another thing. You have to embrace a type of chaos sometimes and allow things to okay, that doesn't work. Just throw it out, and rewrite a complete thing. So I would do things okay, I just want to see your character more. So I'm going to make a list of things I need you to hit. I don't know how you're going to hit those points. Mm-hmm. There may be 5 points there, but you're going to do it whatever way you feel is natural so we can get the most natural reaction rather than it being, oh, remember the script from A to Z, it sometimes, that's another art in itself, directing people to behave a certain way in front of the camera, because when the camera's rolling, sometimes it feels kind of scripted. You hear the remembrance of what you need to say. Yeah. And so, how do you eliminate that, And
do you include any time, are there any times where you have to wing it, or do you?
Yeah, you're winging it all the time. I mean, you just have to at least have basic knowledge of how to use your equipment, but you don't want to concern the actors with any of those things.
True. The thing is with the process, sometimes people tend to be for me, for example, and this is not me entirely. Mm-hmm. I like to wing it sometimes because it kind of
have happy accidents, it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
You embrace the chaos.
But there are also people, and this is also me, at times where we just feel like we have to be perfect about everything, where we have to have everything in a story, a whole storyboard, everything set. And sometimes it's not going to go as planned and you have to wing it, but there are times where people just want to be organized,
Okay.
Well, that's me. I don't, but you obviously like to wing it sometimes.
Well, I mean, you have to be adaptive because sometimes you only have somebody for 3 hours. Mm-hmm. So you have to do whatever you can to get the coverage. Otherwise, you're going to have to schedule an entirely new day of shooting just to get the coverage of what you need, because there are things talking, dialogue, you need to have, we never got a shot of you walking to the car or whatever. Or, we need to get that and just make sure you get that down. On the opposite side, you have a production schedule. It's all right, get the shot of the guy in the car, get the guy walking to the car, and I hear, he's looking for keys. I don't know. Just, whatever needs to be covered. And usually you want to get more than you can if you have enough time. And that's why I like shooting with just available light. So you're just moving, shooting, covering everything you need. And so you can fix those things in post sometimes by constructing a story there. And you can work with things that are not always perfectly composed as long as it's covered and, showing the character or whatever the action to carry you to the next scene. I think that's something that's a little more forgivable in film rather than being photography because well, I guess that could be subjective too. I've seen some pretty wild photography that are technically shouldn't be good, but is somehow really good. Yes. And everyone's like, "Whoa, this person's a genius." I'm like, "Okay, it's just
all the time." You can sometimes you can take a picture of a wall and you're like, "This is the greatest picture ever. I'm going to get this framed and buy it for $10,000."
This phenomenon of shooting, those old. I mean, I guess I can kind of appreciate it, but it's these old film cameras where they just have a front light.
Yep.
And it's just you have no lens, you just shoot it. And I'm like, all right, I guess it's a vintage look and it's an aesthetic because now the 80s is kind of a thing. So it kind of makes sense, I guess.
Everybody's wanting that look in post when you're doing photography. They want that vintage look. Yeah. I mean, Peach's whole brand is about the 80s type of vibes and everything.
Yeah, because I'm very into vaporwave, synthwave. I'm actually also getting into dark wave too. Well, but that's me. But I'm also dabbling into I recently did a shoot with the model, and then what I basically did was it was like a hall cyclorama in the background, but instead I took that, got rid of anything that's, like that's kind
flaws,
of
blemishes.
Yeah. And then basically changed like the tone of it to make it look like a very 80s type of poster, to kind of give it that vibe. So I made it a little bit of a green tint.
Oh, did you do any of that chromatic aberration?
A little bit, yeah. I also made like a signature of the name.
It's a fancy word.
Yeah.
But yeah, it only happens to like old tube televisions. And the reason for that is like on the edges of the frame, on the lens, it's like the glass is actually getting thicker.
Yeah.
And that's actually the reason why the sky changes color when the sun sets. Because if you think of the entire sky as a lens, it's going to the part where it's creating a chromatic aberration. And you're seeing the chromatic aberration play out as the color changes into the sun going to twilight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Never thought about it like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Shout out to Twilight, guys.
Shout out to Twilight.
yeah.
But speaking of 80s, though, I mean, the reason I love the 80s too, because it's like the last era that things were really happening. People were innovating like photography technology, and it's like, it just had a very,
very retro for me, very vintage, very.
But besides the retro aesthetic, I feel like sometimes like today, like yes, the 80s is a thing, but like people are really focused on this aesthetic. But for me, it was about like freedom of thought at the time, because there were so many independent films that were just like completely like offbeat, like contemporary, like whatever films, not like giant superhero films or like remakes or like things like that have to be really big budget, but people were taking more chances with film.
I would agree with that, because I think that's also how the whole synthwave thing was kind of started too, in my opinion. Like, because like one of my favorite movies from the 80s is The Terminator, because not a lot of people like understood the concept at first. I'm like, a robot from the future comes to kill, a future hero. Or the mother of a future hero. And I'm like, wow. Like when I first heard of it, I'm like, this is an interesting plot. Yeah. And to think, and just thinking back, like I'm just thinking about the other reaction of the audience when they first see that. Same thing with any other movie that's out there in the 80s that didn't really follow a typical plot that they usually see.
Yeah. Well, people were taking big chances on James Cameron making that film. They almost didn't want him to make it. But it's like, right, if you fuck this up, we're never going to let you make a movie again. So that was what pressure he was under making that film, because before that he was making a movie called Piranha 2, and he was trying to fix this film that was already a piece of shit. And it's just like
Piranha.
But he just wanted so badly to be part of the film industry. But then, he had his chance with Terminator, and they're like, all right, this is your one chance, kid, and he did it. And because he successfully did that, they allowed him. Oh, by the way, like during the production of Terminator, he was writing the script for Aliens, the second movie off of Ridley Scott's film. And so if he didn't make Terminator and that wasn't successful, they wouldn't have allowed him to make the next movie, which was Aliens, his second film, which is crazy ambitious because of the way he is. And he knew like everybody's job, which is inspirational to me, because that's why I'm like, all right, I need to know how to do everything, because that's the only way to like really get the vision on screen the way you want it.
Interesting.
And with today's technology, you should be able to technically do it, but
although
what's
that
stopping
being
you?
True, yeah. That being said, though, when it comes to your projects, like, do you have any specific ones in mind that like a specific theme or a specific and then like do you like change your approach on that?
I've done a couple of my own films where, I mean, it was just me venting about like the photography industry. Like I didn't like certain aspects of it because, you love photography, but you don't, when you do it for a living, sometimes it can kind of ruin the thing that you love because you're doing it for a living.
That is why I'm a hobbyist.
Yeah. And then you deal with clients who think that, you're like a magic button and you're not,
exactly.
Or like what goes into logistically bringing these things together to get this type of image. So I just used it as a way to vent it, and then other projects were sort of more like, I wanted to be able to market myself in a smart way. So I just started working with bands, bands that already had lots of like followers.
Yeah.
So if I do this for them, it would automatically win me that audience that they've already established.
Yeah.
So it's a smart way to get in there. And then I could just exercise whatever aesthetic they I wanted, you can suggest things and work together, make stuff. You know, I've made like cyberpunky things and like zombie films and all these genres.
Peaches.
Yeah, that's my
alley right
that's
there.
up my alley.
Yeah.
For me, it's always the props that you have to get right too.
Yeah, props. I did art direction, so I know like I had a new appreciation for like, oh wow, someone had to make that. Oh, look at that costume. You know, you just look at so many things and you underestimate like how much goes into like. It's not just something that was there and you found it, you know, someone had to go and make it. So I had to learn how to make stuff too. It wasn't just like filming things. So, you know, creating props from scratch, you know, figuring out how to.
It takes a lot, you know, which is why I have so much respect for the cosplay community, all the
cosplay.
Yeah, all the stuff they have to do, all the work they have to put into it. Because I've done that myself and it's pretty tough. Because like a lot of the props I use for my shoots, I make from scratch. I made flower crowns.
How did you make from scratch? What did you use?
Well, let's see. For the flower crowns, they have these, you know, obviously fake flowers they sell at Michael's. And then basically I just got one of those. I think it's like it wasn't made of styrofoam. It was some sort of thing I can bend like to. I think I used what do you call this? Pipe cleaners. To kind of wrap a bunch around, and then I used this green tape to go around to kind of give it that feel. And
what were you making? What was the final product? Like a bouquet of flowers or something?
You know, it was like a crown of flowers.
Oh,
it was
crown of flowers.
Yeah,
okay.
because I was basically using it for a. Have you ever seen that film Midsommar?
Oh,
yeah, that kind of vibe.
Okay, yeah, with the crown of flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do a lot of art direction for this production where it was like the story was like this poor kid on an island and he lived on a farm and he had to make toys out of nothing. So I had to make toys out of nothing with whatever was available on the farm. So I'd have to like, okay, there's a banana tree leaf or like a big palm tree, you know, and I'd take the leaves down and make something with it and like, you know, make all these makeshift sports, you know, things like hockey sticks and hockey masks out of like, you know, like coconut shells or something, you know.
That is pretty cool.
It was crazy, like kind of hell because we had such a strict, like a tight deadline and budget. But you know, that really gave me a new appreciation for like, oh, okay, someone has to make all this cool stuff for like films. Sometimes besides just shooting it, you have to like decorate it with all this stuff.
No, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Cause like I said, a lot of work goes into it and to get the details right. Cause I for one, I'm a perfectionist. I want to get everything right. All the details.
Yeah. You know, that's something I had to battle with myself because I had a really large list of things to make once as an art director for another production. And the thing I had to make was literally a ton of cocaine.
What in the world?
Yeah. So
I want to hear this.
I was like, you know, I made them first like a couple of bricks, like a kilo brick. So I'd research what a kilo looks like. And then I made them and I'm like, all right, that looks pretty realistic. And just, you know, saran wrap with some like, you know, white tape or whatever, and it looks like a real brick. But then like, all right, Dewey, we it can't just like look and, you know, when we like transfer from like car trunk to car trunk, we got to have one where we cut open and taste it. And it's like, oh, okay. So then I have to make like a hero brick that people would cut open and actually taste it. It was just filled with like, you know, confection sugar. Yeah.
Sugar.
But then there's another one where it's like, Dewey, okay, now this scene, we need a ton's pallets worth of cocaine. I'm like, fuck, how am I going to make all this? This is like a lot of work. It took me like this long to make like 50 of them, which were filled with sand, you know, and that was hard enough because I had to transport all the sand from like the creek, and it was like a lot of work because it's heavy. It's just heavy for no reason.
Insane.
But the ton of cocaine, it was where I had to like, all right, I can't make all these things with this amount of time. I have to sort of be not too detail oriented and how do I figure out how to make this in bulk? So I ended up coming up with this plan where I just made a big box that was the size of a pallet. And then I printed images of another stack of cocaine. And then they would be in the background anyway. So then, you know, you wouldn't have to have them in full detail. So I just printed them out in high resolution and just, you know, taped them together and just, you know, made it look like a facade of cocaine.
I cannot.
Facade of Cocaine. Guys.
Facade of Cocaine. That's like a death metal band.
Yeah.
That's a good band.
Yeah.
Facade of Cocaine.
It's a good album name too.
Yeah. It's got to be like fast and hard. Make you feel like
That's
you're on
what she
cocaine.
said.
Very good at the gym. Gym workout. And so any advice you have for someone who's trying to get into videography? Like any beginner, like how would they build up? How should they build up their
videography or like filmmaking or just videography in itself? I feel like there's a little bit of a distinction.
Let's say let's try both. So let's say I want to get into, I'm a beginner, I want to get into videography. And how should I build my portfolio? What should I start?
Well, tool wise, like I said, like people are underestimating the phone. I've seen these really wild videos where, on the internet where people are just whipping around the camera like they're doing kung fu moves. And then like it just looks super stupid. But then you see the final result and they're like, whoa, that looks actually amazing.
Right.
Well, I mean, I've seen videos.
Like, what am I doing? I have a cell phone. I'm not doing this.
I mean, I've seen videos like that. I mean, like, because it's one thing to do and film yourself doing that. Like, it's one of the, like, I remember there was like early YouTube video of that one kid, the Star Wars kid.
Yeah.
Like that.
He didn't know that he was being filmed for that. He had no idea. He didn't actually film that. Someone ran it and just like kept it rolling because they knew that he did this.
Damn.
And he actually got very embarrassed. And I think he might have sued them.
Ooh.
Yeah. But because it's already gone viral, there was nothing he can do about it. But he was, still people were like, yeah, you're awesome. And then added like lightsabers and.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he didn't know. He had no idea that was happening.
Damn.
Sorry, what was the point? I didn't mean to like jump in, but that was like the full context of that story.
I mean, I'm glad I got that context, although now I do not remember what we were talking about.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
But I get videography. That's what it
yeah.
was. But beginning wise, but it's true. Gear wise, it's good to have good gear. Because I know I for one have an Sony A7 II, and I can do good videography on it, better than my Nikon. But okay, now. Are you done?
Man, you should have just full on sneeze.
No, I didn't sneeze.
You're gonna burst a blood vessel.
I was trying to laugh because Shane is just like, finish it. I'm like, what?
Right now, it's like,
okay, but okay. So how about this? How about beginners who want to get into videography? How would they start?
Well, like I've been bringing up a lot of examples about cell phone shooting, but I know it doesn't look as impressive if you showed up to a shoot with like a cell phone. And it's not going to be like, oh, you're the person I hired. But like, I mean, people make really impressive stuff with cell phone, but like the technology is only going to get better. But like, even if you don't have the best stuff, at least you're doing something. Just put something together, cut it together, and make it look cool. Move it a certain way. I mean, you have a lot of freedom of movement when you have like a small camera. But I mean, if you do want to step it up, then you want to get one of like, I don't know, Sony or Panasonic, GH,
Panasonic.
whatever. And like,
Panasonic, I haven't heard that brand name in a while.
Like Black Magics are pretty good. Like,
Shane has a Black Magic.
Yeah. They're like, I think more affordable with a pretty good palette, that looks like pretty professional. And that's what I got. But, just make stuff with it.
What about Red cameras?
Reds are Nikons now.
Yeah, they are.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you remember Nikon bought
them, so now they're going to be
now I really hate Reds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But you never know. They might make some magic out of all that. They might do something.
I hope Canon and Magic.
I mean, Nikon's been around forever, so I think because they've been in the game for so long with lenses and camera bodies, I mean, I think it's a good merge. But Nikon was falling behind in the video market.
Yeah.
So I think maybe this is a move that's pretty smart.
Of the video guys I know, they use Sony.
Yeah.
And I think I know a couple that use Canon. I use Canon, particularly my R6. That baby is so nice.
Mm-hmm.
And what about the film industry? Like, how would one actually get there? Like, because networking is one thing, but like, you got to have the skills for it. You got to, do a lot.
Well,
to get
there's
in there.
so many different levels to answering that question because, one, if you're a creator, you just got to be writing a lot of stuff, and right now I think they're starving for writers because, there's only remakes and like, very specifically vetted people that are making it into the industry, so remakes. They're no longer taking chances with like, just completely like, random writers like they used to. But that's realm, you just got to be writing. And in other ones, you just get, if you want to work in the industry, it doesn't mean that you're a filmmaker, but you're working in it. Just get involved, be a PA, start helping and being associated with a production and just start helping. And then maybe you might pick up a specialization like working in camera department or lighting.
And that's kind of like what I'm doing right now, because I'm really trying to get into like cinematography. So I asked.
And from there, you can still learn too. You can watch other people do stuff.
Yeah, I literally have asked like local cinematographers. I'm just like, hey, if you guys need help on a set or anything, let me know. I'll be a helping hand. I want to learn. I want to have hands-on training and experience.
But the skills of shooting and composing, that you can always be doing on your own. You don't have to be doing that being on set. I mean, that part of your brain, you have to force to make happen when it's like you get that 10 seconds of shooting, but the rest of the time you're like, minding gear and making sure everything's set up. And it's very technical, but like I see a lot of people who get really caught up in that and they forget about the creative process, but just don't ever discount that even a cell phone could be a really good tool. Yeah. You can always be shooting and still perfecting your craft through just that. It doesn't have to be on set.
Very true.
But anyway, yeah. So answer the question. Just get involved anyway. I mean, even being a PA and working for free. I think also getting involved in anything production, just work for free. Doesn't matter what it is. Get yourself involved and just start doing stuff for free. And then within doing that free work, you can start establishing your value by making a portfolio, shooting behind the scenes, offering whatever it is you can, be reliable in some way, pick up a craft within the scene. And then that's how you get involved. Just get involved in the scene.
Nice.
Wow, that was wow.
Yeah, I mean he's not wrong though, because
he's not.
Yeah, you have to get involved in some way.
Yeah, but you have to be willing for work for free. Some people if they start charging off the bat, you've already kind of turned off people.
No, I mean I know
who don't know who you are. You have no value yet.
That's exactly how it is with photography. You have to start out shooting TFP.
Yeah,
that's true. You have to start somewhere. You can't just be like TFP. I picked up. I
haven't heard that word in a while.
You can't just pick up a camera and just have rates be like I charge $100 an hour, and they're just like, do you know what shutter speed is?
You can't just show up.
You know what ISO is?
Yeah, you can't show up, do a bunch of all this work, and then to bring out an iPad and say, leave a tip, please. Yeah. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
I need to put that on my iPhone sometimes. The
cell phones are the new wave.
I mean, I guess it depends on what you do.
Yeah. I mean, there's some collabs I've done where I've gotten a tip. They're all like, what's your Venmo? And I'm all like, here.
No worries.
And then I'm just like, what?
That's cool.
Damn.
You never know sometimes. Those collabs you get a little pocket change.
Well, next time I'll bring a piggy bank with me.
Well, that's really good people appreciating because, there are so many times where people don't appreciate and they just think you could just pull it out of your ass. And
dude, I got stories for days.
Yeah, my name's Peach, right? But I don't pull.
You guys,
I don't pull that much out of my ass.
I don't have this link public yet, but I created a little short film called Awkward Photo. Oh. And I kept it private because I wanted to submit it into film festivals, but it was just me venting on everything I hated about being a photographer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So all roll into one or two characters, the straight, photographer who has to be professional and then the client who's just being outrageous. They want these unrealistic demands. And then meanwhile they're criticizing you and I can do this, or my 7-year-old can do this. I'm like, all right.
Okay, bye.
No, but it's but film festivals, man. My goal in the end is to at least submit something into Sundance.
Oh, Sundance.
Yeah.
Sundance.
I don't know. I have to see the actual criteria is, but
yeah, it's
I think it's pretty insane.
I mean, it's pretty insane. Yeah.
It's a big goal.
The percentage of people who get in is 1%.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the Toronto Film Festival, but there's also the
Toronto,
Yeah.
I'm actually connected to somebody who's who had a film in Sundance. Actually, a couple of people.
Wow.
But they have a committee of people who are choosing what gets in or not. In a very small amount.
Harsh as ever with their
criticism. They're harsh. Yeah. And now with even
I thought it was bad, pretty harsh, not harsh, but difficult to even submit a script to Netflix or something.
You have to pay a fee too, and if you don't get in, they just keep your money. They don't even
Well, son of a...
You can put it on Tubi though. Tubi accepts everybody. Tubi accepts everybody.
Right. I don't want this.
You remember that movie you saw the other night here?
Okay, honestly, Shane and I watched the movie before that movie on Tubi. It was a horror movie on Tubi. It was pretty good.
Okay.
Shane, nod your head or say no. Is it good? Yeah, he nodded his head. It was pretty good. It's called Low Lifes, I believe it was called.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you watch it and then you examine it, see what do you think of it.
Okay.
On Tubi.
But I have something to say about your the Sundance comment. It's like being in Sundance is like one type of goal, but being on Tubi is like another. You like you can make a shit ton of money.
Some low budget films. On
yeah,
Tubi.
like I heard some like person like put in $2,000 and they were able to make $1 million because they went the Tubi route. Just swallow your pride.
Really?
Like forget about Sundance and swallow your pride. Go to Tubi and make like bank.
I don't want to forget about Sundance though,
okay,
man.
I might start writing a new film like tonight. Like after we go out and eat, I might start writing a few films and put it on Tubi.
Yeah. What is wrong? Okay, fine. You know what?
Well, I mean, they have their criteria is listed on their website. You know, what they look for. So you can go there and start, planning your, I
mean, I don't know. I was really like getting into analog horror, and then I saw Skinamarink. And if you ever seen it,
oh what?
Skinamarink.
No.
What is that?
It's an analog horror film. I'm trying to find it. I think you have to watch it on Shudder.
Okay.
Which is like the Netflix of horror movies, I think.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, it's all analog horror. Now, some people don't like it because it's pretty cryptic. But I honestly
it makes you feel uncomfortable.
It does. It's very. It kind of makes you unnerving, and that's what the beauty of it. But
like Jordan Peele movies.
Okay, see that's something else. But he does a really good job at it. But analog horror is something I've been looking into right now.
Nice.
And now making a film of it, it's difficult to even make a story on that because But
can us Phot-Bros help with bringing that to life for you? Let's do it.
Okay. Right, but okay, Sundance and Tubi. Okay, Sundance and Tubi. I will take the Tubi route for now. Maybe it ends up in Sundance. You never know. Mm-hmm. But that is pretty good advice in general. The whole episode is pretty good advice. And now it is time to say goodbye to Dewey Tron.
Goodbye, Dewey.
Goodbye. Some people from Arlington in 2014 won Sundance. I just want to give you some hope here that you can make it. Okay. Because the guys who won in 2014, they were from Arlington, and they won Sundance Best Directing.
Whoa.
The movie was called Fishing Without Nets in 2014. They won Best Directing.
I think I've heard of
First, the way that you get in first is you make a short. They have a short competition.
How many minutes?
I don't know, like 15 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
So you make a short. It's like a proof of concept, and then if you get through that, you might get somebody who will fund the rest of your movie, and then you can like make your movie. But like, don't think about making a full-length feature. Make like just one compelling scene from that film, and that should be a more like easier way to approach it.
There you go.
There, I don't know. Does that
no that actually
for you? Because
that helps.
just make it with whatever tools you have. And get the most exciting part of the scene within your 120-page script. And that should be the first step for you to maybe get a chance at getting the rest of your film made. And then coming back and winning Sundance Best Directing. That's what those guys did. The guy's name is Cutter, and he's from Arlington.
Wow.
So
I hope this is not the vodka talking. Yeah,
the what?
The vodka talking.
The vodka talking?
Yeah,
is that the name of the film?
No, this is like you. Like
no, you've been taking shots of vodka.
Oh, the vodka talking.
Yeah, but this is you. This is all
no,
you.
this is me.
Okay.
I'm not
good.
That much of a lightweight. I mean, I'm just like, this is me. What, are you going to blame it on drugs?
No, but this is good.
Be this creative.
No, but this is
the drugs talking.
But this is good. Like, I appreciate that you exist in this role because you just gave me a lot of hope.
I'm really fired up about being this type of creative, and I know it's a really hard scene to be in because it's crushing how much responsibilities you have to burden. And like, I don't want to make it seem like it's so exclusive that you can't be a part of this club. The club is just you sitting home watching a movie on TV. That is the best educator you have. It's not like, oh, I had this specific teacher and he only accepted me if I paid $300 to see him. Like you can't be doing that. Yeah. That's not going to be, the way you get in.
Exactly.
Bang.
Yeah.
And then that's how we end it.
That's definitely...
So I want to say a big thank you. And this is probably the biggest thank you in the history of thank yous.
Oh, really?
To Dewey Cox. No, Dewey
Tron.
Dewey Tron.
Come on, bro.
What did I say? Dewey Cox?
Yeah, Dewey Cox.
Dewey Cox.
That's a movie.
That's another.
Yeah, that's a movie.
Dewey.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Dewey Tron.
Taken. Thanks.
I'm sorry. Dewey Tron. Okay, guys. Dewey Tron. This is Dewey Tron. I thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Emerson, any thank yous from you?
No
Thank yous from you?
No, I wasn't. Let me finish.
Okay.
I got it. I really love picking the brains of creatives that have way more experience than I do. And so whenever we bring creatives of your caliber on, I go home and I change up my whole mindset when it comes to stuff. Like, I'm still getting into filmmaking, and just hearing your perspective on everything, I'm ready to just start writing, make storyboards, and just start watching a ton of films and just learn that way, instead of just trying to like read books and do all this crazy, go to free clinics, free workshops and stuff. Just like mind blowing. That's all I have to say.
Thanks.
Just absorbing all of that knowledge is going to help me out in the future when I really dive into filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love films.
Thanks
so much.
Yeah. Well, don't fall into the trap where you end up like working for the film industry and you're sort of strung out so hard that you forget about your dreams.
Very true.
That could easily happen, because there's plenty of technical jobs on set where you're just lugging shit around.
Yep.
So, just remember that your vision matters, not always being part of physically being part of the film industry is always going to be, yielding good results towards your goal.
You hear that, folks? Live out your dreams.
With ChatGPT, I know it's kind of cheating, but whatever your concept is, just talk to the robot and let it organize your thoughts, because a lot of people don't take that first step of organizing because they have so many ideas. How do you, they're just ideas. If you don't do anything with them, nothing's going to happen. So use the tools that are out there. Even though, yes, ChatGPT is a robot and it's cheating, just talk to it. Get something down. Someone else might not know it's a robot. Get your thoughts organized. Get it together. It makes you taken more seriously if you have your thoughts organized.
There we go.
Okay. And yeah, for the third time, that's how we end it. So thank you, Dewey Tron. Anything else you have to say?
Just for the love of God, just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, in the words of Shia LaBeouf.
Let's do it.
Do it.
Do it. Dewey Tron.
Dewey Tron.
All right.
Dewey Tron.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And we are out.
Okay. See you guys next time.
Peace out, guys. Thank you for listening to the Phot-Bros podcast. Feel free to follow us on Instagram at Phot-Bros podcast and follow us on X/Twitter at Phot-Bros.